Hey everybody, this is Miss Gregory. I just want to say that I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you guys are staying healthy and enjoying this time with your family. I hope you guys have gotten onto the YouTube channel to see the introduction from Miss Tollison. As she mentioned in that little video, all the 5th grade teachers are joining together and recording themselves teaching different topics and going over different things. So I wanted to take the time to go over multiplying numbers with the area model. So I'm going to take this 5th grade packet and I'm going to look at the math page. It's the page right after the choice board. And I want to talk about this question right here, number 3. We're going to go through how to figure out the different pages in this question. So when you look at question number 3, it gives you a list or a table of all the packets that have been sent out through kindergarten through 5th grade. And it tells you how many packets were delivered and how many students in each grade level. So here's the grade level, the packets that were delivered, and how many students in that grade level. And one of the questions says it wants to know how many pages per packet. So if we look at this column right here, it tells us the pages per packet, but I also want to look at how many pages per packet per grade level was sent. So if we look at kindergarten, there's 165 pages per packet that went out to 96 kindergartners. But I want to figure out exactly how many individual pages that is per student. So let's look at grade level number 5. We're in 5th grade, so we're going to do 5th grade. So 137 pages were in the packet, and it got sent out to 92 students. So one way to figure this out is to multiply. So I'm going to write my number sentence of 137 times 92, and I'm going to solve it with the area model. Now, one thing I want you guys to know, when you're solving area model and you know your numbers are going to be large, make your area model box large. You have all this room in the world to work through a problem, okay? I don't want you guys to write little teeny tiny boxes, because then you're going to run out of room, and then you're not going to be able to read what you wrote. So the first thing that I want to do with the area model, we know we have to draw a box, okay? And then we need to look at each number to figure out how many place values we need in that number, or how many sections we want to partition our box into. So if I look at the first number, 137, I see that there's 3 digits in this number, okay? And then I want to look at their place value. So I know that the 7 is in the ones place, the 3 is in the tens place, and the 1 is in the hundreds place. So if I think about that, that means there's 3 place values within this number. So I want to have 3 columns so that I can label my area model box, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So your area model box, and I like to draw my lines a little bit higher so that I can organize all of my information and not have, 30 over here when it shouldn't be, and it should be in the middle. Okay, so this is for 137. So I'm going to imagine this as like a place value chart. And we know on our place value chart, our ones place is going to be all the way to the right. Okay, so when we look at 137, we know that the number 7 is in the ones place. And so I'm going to go all the way to the right and put my 7 in my ones place. So my 7 is going to go on top of here. Okay, and now working to my left, I'm going to look at the number 3. This 3 is in my tens place, and I know that it's not just the number 3 because it's in the tens place, and that's really saying 3 groups of 10. Okay, so 3 groups of 10 is the same as saying 10 times 3 to get me 30 to go in this section right here. So I'm going to say 30 in that section. Okay. And then the last number I look at is 100. There's only 1 in that place value, and we know that 1 group of 100 is the same as saying 1 times 100, and so I know 1 times 100 is 100. So I'm going to put 100 right here. So I have decomposed this number into its prospective place values for my area model, okay? So I want to also note, let me move this down, that the 137 is, if we visualize it, we're visualizing that number going up and down, okay? We're visualizing individual columns. Now when we look at 92, we need to visualize rows, okay? So now I got to look at the number 92 and figure out how many digits and how many place values are in this number. So we look, there's 1, 2. There's a number in the ones and the tens. So there's 2 place values in this number. So I'm going to draw a line across the middle of this box to separate that in half to represent my 2 different place values. Okay. So for this way, we're going to look at our place value chart kind of going down. And so at the very bottom would be our ones place. So down here where this hole is, we know that 2 is in our ones place in the number 92. So we're going to put a 2 right here. And I'm going to have to make it look kind of silly so that it goes over this hole. So we know 2 is in our ones place. Now we have to figure out the number that goes right here. And we know that 9 is in our tens place. What we said before about the 3, we know that is just not 9. We know that this is the same as saying 10 groups of 9. And when I think about it, 10 groups of 9 is the same as saying 10 times 9. And 10 times 9 is 90. So I'm going to put the number 90 right here. So this is so far what my area model should look like. Now, a lot of things that I think would be beneficial so far moving forward is so that students don't forget what operation they're doing is to take this multiplication sign and put it in the corner right here. Okay. And then also drawing their lines to extend it a little bit so that their numbers are organized and in the right spot. Okay. Now we know we are multiplying. So now I got to find out the answers to, or the products that go in each of these boxes. And one of the strategies that would be extremely beneficial is to write your number sentence of what you're multiplying in each of these boxes. And when you get the product, circle that product so you don't get confused of what number you're using. So I want to start with this box right here. So I know that in order to figure out this box, I'm going to have to multiply 90 times 100 to get in this box. Now, I don't know how to solve 90 times 100 in my head. Okay, so I'm going to take what I know and I'm going to do 9 times 1. And we know that 9 times 1 is 9. Okay, so I'm going to write 100 times 90. And I know 9 times 1 is 9. Okay, so far I wrote my number sentence and then I wrote my 9 because I know 9 times 1 is 9. Now I'm going to count how many zeros that I'm going to need to fill in those place values because there's no number in that place value. So there's 1 0 here, 2, 3. So remember, these are filling in a place value. Okay, so I have 3 zeros I need to add to this 9. So I can box it, I can circle it, whatever is the best for you. So I know 90 times 100 is 9,000. Okay. So now I'm going to move to the next box. I know some kids like to jump all over the place, but I like to go in an order. So now I'm going to multiply 90 times 30. Okay. So I'm going to write 90 times 30 in this box. 90 times 30. Okay. Again, I don't know how to solve 90 times 30 in my head because that number is just so big. So I'm going to take 9 and multiply it by 3. So when I think about what 9 times 3 is, I'm going to get the answer 27. So I'm going to go ahead and write 27 in my area model. Okay. And same thing that I did with 9,000. I'm going to count my zeros to determine how many place value fillers that I need. So I'm going to have 1 0, 2 zeros. So I'm going to add 2 zeros or count the zeros and put them down here next to 27. We're not adding zeros, we're counting them. So 90 times 30 is 2,700 or 2,700. Okay. Lastly, in this row, I need to multiply 90 times 7. So I'm going to write 90 times 7. Now, I need to think about what 9 times 7 is because I don't know 90 times 7 because those numbers are big. So when I solve 9 times 7, I know that that equals 63. Okay, so I'm going to write 63. And then once again, I'm going to count how many zeros hold a place value. This 0 right here is holding the ones place. So I'm going to count. Is there a 0 here? Yes, that's 1 0. Is there one over here? No. So I'm only going to place 1 0 over here to hold the ones place. So 90 times 7 is 630. Okay, so I've completed this whole entire row. I've multiplied 90 times all of these numbers. Okay, now I'm going to multiply 2 times all of these numbers to get this entire row. So this box, I'm going to multiply 2 times 100. So I'm going to write 100 times 2. Now, we may be able to do this in our head. We may not. So using the same strategy, 2 times 1 is 2. And I need to count how many place values or how many zeros are holding a place value. So there's 2 zeros right here holding a place value, and there's none over here. So I'm only going to use these 2 zeros to hold a place value. So 100 times 2 is going to be 200. And I'm going to circle my product. Okay, and I'll explain why I circled all these products when I'm done solving the rest of the problem. All right, so moving to the next box. I'm going to multiply 30 times 2. I'm going to write that in here. 30 times 2. Again, you may be able to do this in your head. You may not, and that's okay. So I'm going to take 3 times 2. We know 3 times 2 is 6. And there's 1 0 holding a place value. There's no zeros over here. So 3 times 2 is 6. And I have 1 0 holding a place value. And so I'm going to put a 0. So 30 times 2 is 60. And I'm going to circle my product. Okay. Last box. Woo, last box. Now, this one's pretty simple because all I'm doing is multiplying a 1 digit by a 1 digit number. So I have 2 times 7. And we know, I'm going to write 7 times 2. And we know 7 times 2 is 14. So I'm going to circle that number. Now, my whole entire area model box is complete. My next question to myself should be, am I done with this question knowing that all of these are circled? No, we're not done. So what I need to do now with all of these numbers that are circled is to add them up. Now, there's 6 numbers here that we need to add, and sometimes adding 6 numbers all at once with numbers that are all the way into the thousands place can be very tricky. So you can add this row and get an answer, and this row and get an answer, and then add those 2. You could do it like this, however you want to do it. I'm going to line all my numbers up by their place value, okay? And this is highly important if you're going to add all 6 numbers to make sure they are lined up appropriately based on place value. I like to start with the biggest number first. So if I look at this, the biggest number in my area model so far is 9,000. So I'm going to write the number 9,000. And I'm going to put a little check mark over 9,000 to show and to let myself know that I used that number already. Okay. Then my next largest number is 2,700 or 2,700. So I'm going to write 2,700. Again, lining it up with place value. And I'm going to check it off. Okay. Now my next biggest number is 630. So I'm going to line it up with place value over here. So my 6 is going to go under my 7. My 3 is going to go over my zeros, and then my zeros and my ones place are still going to be lined up. So kind of just like that still. Okay, I have no number in the thousands place, so I don't have to add anything. Okay, so I'm going to cross off 630. My next largest number is 200. So I'm going to line that up with my place value under 630 and check it off when I use it. And then 60. Line that up by place value, and then same thing with 14. I'm kind of running out of room, but that's okay. Okay, so now my problem should look like this. Okay, I have a check mark with all my numbers, meaning I've used all my numbers, and I've lined them up by their place value. When we add, we start in our ones place. So if I look at this, 4 plus all these zeros, I'm not adding anything to it. It's going to be 4. So I can put a 4 down there. Okay, I'm going to write my answer to the side just so that you guys can know. So I put a 4 down here, really teeny. And I'm going to start my answer over here so you guys can see this as well. And then I go to my tens place. So now here's my tens place. I have 6 plus 3 plus 1. So we know 6 plus 3 is 9. And then 9 plus 1 is 10. So I'm going to put a 0 down here. And we carry our 1 into our hundreds place. So there's my 0, and I carry my 1 into my hundreds place. So I'm going to also put my 0 right there. Okay. So now I have 6 plus 7 plus 2 plus 1. So the first thing I need to do is figure out 7 plus 6. Take a second and figure out what 7 plus 6 is. Okay. 7 plus 6 is 13. Plus 2 is 15. Plus 1 is 16. So I'm going to put a 6 down here. And I'm going to carry my 1 into my thousandths place. Okay. Now I have 9 plus 2 plus 1. So 9 plus 2 is 11. And then 11 plus 1 is 12. And I can leave my whole entire 12 down there because I'm not carrying anything, because I don't have any more place values. So now we have finished solving our entire question about how many pages are in or were printed for every single student in 5th grade. Okay. We multiplied 137 times 92 using the area model, and we should have gotten an answer of, or a product of, 12,604. That is how you solve multiplication with a 3-digit times a 2-digit model in the area model. Now you can use this with 2-digit by 2-digit, 1-digit by 2-digit, anything like that to help you. It's the same concept. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of the teachers in the 5th grade team, and we will be glad to help you. Thanks. We miss you guys.